Hey guys, ANTOSS back again with another review. Today I'm talking about the Kanger T3 bottom coil Clearomizer. This is running at 2.5 ohms. And I can tell you straight off the bat, it's a really decent solid Clearomizer. It has a great advantage, and that is that it is bottom coil. So more or less, it has the wicks, say just like a Stardust, it has the wicks coming from the atomizer, but you can see that they're so short, but it only needs to be that short is because it is, unlike the Clearomizer, the Stardust is actually relying on gravity, so it's always at the bottom and it's always wet. The juice is always on the wicks, no problem. Now these things are great because you don't kind of have to do that thing like you might have to do with other Clearomizers to keep the wicks wet. So bottom coils definitely have their advantage. One disadvantage I can tell you straight off the bat is because it is bottom coil, you know, you have to give and take. So because it's bottom coil, by the time it reaches your mouth, it does tend to be, the vapor does tend to be slightly cooler than it would be with a, say a Stardust, where the coil would be at the top there. So there's less time for the vapor to cool down. So having it at the bottom has its advantages because it's relying on the gravity. The wicks are always wet, ready to go, but the vapor will cool down a little bit more before it hits your mouth. But all in all, it's a really solid unit. These will hold up to 2.4 milliliters. I know you probably can't see the numbers, but it's marked up to 2.4, and it will fill up to 2.4, which is really, really cool. So I'll give it a quick vape. This is running at, let me just double check. This is running at 3.7. So if you haven't got a VV device, this is a good indication, or if you have an Ego or something like that, it's a good indication of how it's going to vape. Okay. It's good vapor. It's really good vapor, it is. Now, I like the vapor production that comes out of these. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you would probably know that I am more biased towards cartomizers. I do prefer them now, these days. I used to be a big Clearomizer fan. I still am. I still buy them here and there. But I find they don't give the same throat hit as a cartomizer. This particular one is great for vapor production, but because of the lack of heat in the vapor, I feel that it's definitely on the you know, the smoother side of throat hits. You'll get the flavor, you really will. You'll get the vapor, but I find when I compare it to cartomizers, when it comes to throat hit, it's not up to par. But these, as you know, if you've seen previous videos, I like Clearomizers because I can see how much liquid I have in the tank and when it's time to fill up. So that's great. This particular, you know, unit performs really well. You don't have to sort of tip it around or anything like that. It's always ready to fire. You'll never get a dry hit ever. Now, if you're using it on a mod, you'll have to buy a you know, a connection there, a 510 to Ego connection, to get this thing working. Now the unit itself, I believe, costs around $5. I may be wrong, give or take. And then from there you can buy the replacement heaters there. So I think these cost about $1.80 or so, atomizers. So you know, all in all, it's good. The cosmetics of it, unfortunately, do let me down a little bit. It's very narrow. Well, it's large. It is large, but it's fairly narrow, but it's very, very tall. So I suppose it's about the same sort of diameter as a Stardust, but because it's a bit taller, it kind of makes it look skinnier. And it comes with a permanent drip tip. That drip tip, I've tried to get it out. Maybe some people can, but I don't want to force to break it. But from what I can tell, it's more or less permanent. It's hard plastic, just sort of a standard kind of drip tip there. you know, if you've seen my other video when I talk about the triple XL smoke tech, you know, you would know that this sort of shape, this kind of nipple shape, I don't really dig. It's not something I like to bring out in public, and this is kind of a similar shape, even though it's not squishy, it's hard plastic. But all in all, you know, it's a solid vape. Now I'll just turn up the amps a bit, the volts a bit. So we'll put this up to 4.2, okay? And once again, this is 2.5 ohms. You know, you're getting a lot more vapor, you're getting a bit more throat hit, you are. It still doesn't compare, I think, to some of Smoke Tech's or other Clearomizer's kind of throat hit. A lot of vapor, you get the flavor, this is the same flavor or a different kind of a flavor, but the throat hit for me just isn't there. If I was to compare this to, say, the Stardust, I probably would prefer the Stardust, I would. I think it's a bit better of a unit. I know that the wicks run from the top, and this sounds really convenient. It is. It's really convenient that the wicks are at the bottom. It relies on gravity, so the wicks are always ready to fire. But I think the Stardust had a bit more of a throat hit, and I believe that would be due to the atomizer being at the top. So I definitely think the atomizer being at the top gives that bit better sort of throat hit. So that's my opinion, guys. I just thought I'd throw it out there. So I'll give it one more vape. Alright guys, thanks for hanging with me today. Check it out. See you.